34%. Write that down. 34% ball possession for Brazil at a World Cup. A team that arrived at this tournament to remind the planet who invented the game, finished a knockout tie with less of the ball than most pub sides manage on a Sunday morning. And that is not even the worst part. The worst part is the name on the other shirt. Norway. HAALAND'S Norway. A nation of 5 million people who just eliminated Brazil from the World Cup. And while the five-time champions were packing their bags in stunned silence, Neymar stood in the tunnel, unable to stop the tears, because he already knew. Not just the tournament, everything. Let's go back to the beginning, because to understand how catastrophic this collapse really was, you need to understand what Brazil came here expecting. The Federation had spent years watching the team spiral. No Copa America, no deep World Cup runs, no identity. So they made a phone call to the man who had just delivered 3 Champions Leagues with Real Madrid. Carlo Ancelotti, the man who looks like your favorite uncle but carries more winners' medals than most nations have trophies. When Brazil announced him, the message was clear. No more mediocrity. No more moral victories. The goal is to win the World Cup. It doesn't matter how Brazil plays. The goal is simply to win, Ancelotti said during the group stage. Simple as that. For a while, the plan looked credible. The group stage was comfortable. 1 draw against the only real threat, 2 routine wins. Then Japan in the last 32, a late Gabriel Martinelli goal to settle nerves, and Brazil were into the last 16 against Norway. Dangerous? Absolutely. Beatable? Everyone thought so. Here is where the story cracks open. Ancelotti set his team deep, inviting pressure, trusting the counterattack. It is his formula. It worked beautifully with Real Madrid in 2022. But Real Madrid had Benzema pulling the trigger at the other end. Brazil had Bruno Guimaraes, who blazed a penalty wide in the first half when the game was perfectly positioned. Karma, it turned out, was watching, and Norway's goalkeeper Ørjan Nyland, a man who spent last season as backup at Sevilla and currently has no club, kept saving everything Brazil threw at him. Think about that. A free agent goalkeeper on his biggest stage, standing between Brazil and the quarterfinals. And he was magnificent. The longer the game stayed goalless, the more you could feel the ground shifting. Defenders tire when they chase shadows all game. Concentration fractures. And when it did fracture, outstepped Erling Haaland. He had already been terrorizing Brazil's backline, winning duels, spinning past challenges. Gabriel, the Arsenal center back who had already suffered enough against this man during the club season, had another night to forget. And then Haaland found his moment, a finish so precise and powerful that Alisson could only watch it go in. 1-0. Every assumption about this match evaporated in seconds. What followed was not a football defeat. It was a meltdown. Brazil players lost all discipline, reckless fouls, confrontations, the kind of scrapping that happens when panic replaces a plan. Norway were awarded a penalty late. It was converted. Brazil were out, eliminated in the last 16. Their worst World Cup result in 36 years. 34% possession. And the image that no Brazilian wanted, but everyone will remember. Neymar walking into the tunnel, tears streaming, unable to hold it together. Not theatrical, real, raw grief. After the whistle, he confirmed what the tears had already said. He was done with the national team. 1 last penalty scored, his record broken, and then goodbye. Not a triumphant farewell, a teary corridor while Norway fans celebrated around him. If you love this kind of inside football breakdown, subscribe, because it only gets hotter from here. Meanwhile, the tournament was delivering chaos elsewhere. England and Mexico in the last 16 produced something genuinely unhinged. Mexico were effectively at home, playing above 2,000 meters at Estadio Azteca, their supporters filling every corner. England's delegation had apparently booked hotels across multiple locations just to avoid being tracked by Mexican fans. It didn't work. They found the team anyway and delivered their own welcome party. Altitude, atmosphere, home crowd. The conditions were everything the bookmakers had in mind. Gareth Southgate set up to survive. England barely touched the ball in the opening 20 minutes. Mexico pressed and probed. And then, as if someone hit a switch, England woke up during a water break and scored twice in 2 minutes. Bellingham, unmarked in the box while Hector Herrera lost possession in midfield, buried it. Before Mexico touched kickoff, another turnover, another counter, another Bellingham finish. 2 goals, 2 minutes. The stadium was silenced. England did not deserve to be winning, but they were winning by 2. Mexico responded with credit, pulled one back, went in at halftime still believing. Then the second half opened with a straight red for England within minutes. A reckless challenge, no argument, 10 men for the whole second half. England got a penalty, Kane scored. Then Kane immediately gave one away with a foul inside his own box. 2-2. 30 minutes left, Mexico pushing hard at altitude against a 10-man side. The game was absolutely alive. Except Mexico could not finish. Beautiful in shape, creative in movement, completely unable to find the net when it mattered. Shot after shot missed or flew straight at Pickford. England defended with everything they had. Bodies in the way, last-ditch blocks, desperate courage. 3-2 at the final whistle. Bellingham with 2 goals, Kane with 1 from the spot. Through. Ugly. Effective. That is Southgate's England. And then there is the story that sits most uncomfortably over everything else at this tournament. Haaland Balogun received a straight red card against Bosnia for a stomp on an opponent's ankle. Horrific-looking incident. Post-match, Balogun said simply, "It happened. He had to accept it." FIFA confirmed no appeal process existed. The U.S. Federation said they would not challenge it. And then the suspension was quietly deferred, not canceled, not overturned, pushed to a later stage of the tournament using an obscure disciplinary code clause, meaning Balogun was free to play Belgium. The U.S. Federation released a statement celebrating this, and then came the voice that completed the picture. "Thank you, FIFA, for doing the right thing and correcting a tremendous injustice," posted Donald Trump. Journalist Ben Jacobs reported that the White House had directly contacted Gianni Infantino and personally asked him to reconsider. Infantino, who has been carefully managing his relationship with Washington since the United States won its hosting rights, apparently located the relevant loophole remarkably quickly. This mechanism has been used before, reportedly with Cristiano Ronaldo years ago. But the optics here are something else. A sitting head of state calls the governing body, and within hours a red card disappears. You can call it a procedural technicality. You can also call it exactly what it looks like. Ronaldo himself gave the football world something half the sport had been expecting for years. His sister Katia Avero had published a post insisting this was his last tournament, calling it his last dance, citing a reliable source. Ronaldo publicly contradicted her after the match, saying he makes no rash decisions and would choose after the tournament. Within days, he confirmed it anyway. This World Cup is his last. The 2030 edition will be partly hosted by Portugal, matches in Lisbon, in the country where he grew up, where they named airports after him, and he will not be playing in it. The symbolic weight of that sits heavy. The first global tournament on Portuguese soil, and its greatest ever player watching from somewhere else. And for the sheer human beauty of what football can mean beyond trophies and transfer fees, you have to stop for Cape Verde. They made their World Cup debut this summer, drew all 3 group games, qualified 3rd, then faced Argentina, the reigning champions, and gave them a fright that nobody saw coming. 2 goals against Emiliano Martinez. Argentina needed a last-minute winner to survive. The Cape Verde squad then flew home on July 5th, their Independence Day, exactly 50 years since the islands gained freedom after 5 centuries under Portuguese rule. And 60% of the entire country came out to meet them, around 300,000 people out of a population of 500,000. When Argentina won the World Cup, Roughly 1 million turned out in Buenos Aires from a country of 40 million. The proportions do not come close. An entire nation in the streets for a team that lost their last game. Because they made history by being there at all. Jurgen Klopp to Germany is happening. Nagelsmann was dismissed on the 3rd. Klopp confirmed talks on the 4th. Fabrizio Romano delivered the "here we go" on the 5th. The remaining details involve contract length, Klopp's authority over youth development, and his exit from his Red Bull role. But the handshake is done. And this is not a simple coaching hire. Every signal from Klopp's camp points toward a decade-long overhaul of German football from the academy level upward. He said it himself before taking the role. German football stands at a crossroads. Fundamental reforms are necessary. He has already identified what everyone watching can see. No elite goalkeeper coming through the system. No center forward even close to Miroslav Klose's level. Fix those two things, and Germany breathes easier. But that is only 5% of the work. He is here for the whole job, and by all accounts, he intends to stay long enough to see it through. So here is where we stand. Brazil are home in tears. Haaland is unstoppable. Neymar has said goodbye. Trump called Infantino. Bellingham scored twice at altitude. Cape Verde lit up an entire island nation. And Klopp is about to walk into a new dressing room and begin one of the most ambitious rebuilding projects in football history. Trust me, every one of these stories has more chapters to come. Was FIFA's decision on Balogun an honest procedural technicality? Or is it exactly the kind of thing that makes you lose faith in the people running this game? Drop your answer in the comments, hit subscribe if this breakdown was worth your time, because this tournament is nowhere near finished. And neither are we.